Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Energize Your Online Business podcast. Hello, ladies.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello. So, as always, I am joined by my fabulous co-host, Kate Sitars. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
Hello. And Kate and I are super excited to be sitting down with an amazing business owner, a circuit sales system student, and also actually one of my personal friends, Natali Edmonds. Hi, Natali.
Hello, I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Yeah, we are very excited to see you, to talk with you here because I know that you have been digging into the circuit sales system, and I think everybody who's listening is going to be really excited and inspired by what you have been experiencing. But let's take a step back, of course, and tell us about your business.
So I'm a board certified geropsychologist, and my background has been working in a large hospital system most of my life, helping people who have dementia and the family members caring for them. And I have since branched online where I do online education for family members who don't have the luxury to wait 6 months for an appointment to hopefully get an answer to their question. And so I just started posting educational information online, which has turned into an online course. And now I provide help to family members caring for a loved one with dementia all over the world, helping them manage dementia caregiver stress and burnout, but also how to respond to those really difficult dementia behaviors that often happen and those strange symptoms. Like, what can they do to help reduce and prevent some of those behaviors? So that's what I'm doing now. It's called the CARE course, and I have so much fun doing it.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fantastic course. We will post the information in the show notes for anybody who's curious, of course, to learn more about you, but also to learn more about your program, because actually before you and I became friends, my mom purchased your course as we're navigating all of that stuff with my dad, and it has been amazingly helpful. And I'm wondering if that's ever been a frustration for you, knowing that you have such an important course and something that you know that you need to get out there, but something that has been kind of up and down, a little bit of that roller coaster in terms of actually being able to sell it, to be able to get it out to people.
Oh my gosh, yes. So in the beginning, when I was first branching out from the hospital and doing things online, I think I went through a chapter most people doing something new go through. And it's like, do I actually how do I do this? I'm nervous. But then once you start putting information out there and you start hearing from people about how it's changed their life, how it's actually helped them in so many ways, how they're so grateful they know what to do at 2 a.m. in the morning when the person with dementia is trying to leave the house. And, you can't wait 4 to 6 months for an appointment in those situations. The more feedback you get like that, the more you feel the obligation and pressure of, how do I actually let more people know I have this thing? And so, yeah, there's a lot of that. It's like, okay, I don't know any caregiver out there who is not searching for answers or help or support right now, and trustworthy help and support from somebody who actually, has had experience working with thousands of people. And so many caregivers, when they finally come to me, they say, oh my gosh, I've been looking for this for years. Or the most heartbreaking comments that I get, and I get these every single week, is, I wish I would have known about you before my loved one passed away. And so, yeah, I do feel a sense of obligation and responsibility of figuring out, how do I get this program in front, let people know that this program exists and get it in front of them. And then they can make the choice if it would be a good fit for them or not.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what have you been doing in the past before the circuit sales system to sell the program? What have you experimented with? What's worked? What hasn't?
Oh my gosh, I have done all the things. It started out just through email launches, which was great, but that's only going to work for the people who get on my email list and find me. And it's just through emails. And so then I went into challenges, which, people were talking about challenges, and that went great too. But again, it was really just to my email list, and it was so much work. My very first challenge was a 14-day live experience called Make Caregiving Easier. And it was a huge success. but 14 days live
You're
for a
exhausted.
challenge. And, and I was charging in the beginning $47, and then it would, try to hopefully sell them into the program after that if it delivered value for that person. Then I was, listening to all the gurus everywhere, and it was like, well, maybe I'll charge $7 for the challenge, and then to get more people in on the front end. And that did work as well. But even still, like, that's so many days live. And then I'm like, let me try something else. So then I'm following another guru, and they're like, do a live webinar every single week. And this about broke me, because I was doing live webinars where I would teach. It was a really valuable class. I would go live every single week. And sometimes I always had people show up, but sometimes even though I would say the same thing, at least I thought I was saying the same thing, it didn't always have the same results. It felt more unpredictable. It's like, and you know this, Nikki, because we would sometimes talk after a live webinar. Sometimes I just wanted to cry and throw everything away. And I'm like, all week long, this was my one chance to like bring people into my program, and it flopped and it didn't do well at all. And then the next week it did wonderful. And it's like, well, what is the missing ingredient here? It's this same way I'm getting people into the webinar. I'm teaching the same exact class. I did it so many times. I did it basically almost every single week for an entire year until I was introduced to your system. Then I was like, let me put this on pause. But basically, yeah, I'd say for like 45 weeks of last year, I went live on teaching a webinar, and it was emotional roller coaster, and it was hard. And then you're constantly like, I know my energy shifted and changed based on the comments that were coming through at the time of the webinar. And then it's like, when I move into the pitch, it's like, sometimes depending on the comments that were already coming through or how many people I see that were live on. And then once I get into the pitch, I can see that drop off, and it's impossible to not let that impact you as you move into it. And so, I mean, basically you name it, I've tried it. And they all worked. I mean, I had relative success with all of them, but it was never the success that felt consistent. It didn't feel predictable. It felt like a lot of pressure. And it also made life really difficult if I wanted to ever take a vacation or ever take a day off, because it was everything was live.
Yeah. I was just thinking that you essentially are penalizing yourself for taking a vacation. Like, oh, yes. If I take a vacation this week, I'm not going to make money this week.
Yeah. Oh, I can't even tell you, like, sometimes I did go somewhere, like my husband does a lot of athletic events, and I would go to support him, and I'm kicking him out of the hotel room. And I'm like, I have to do a webinar, take the dog, go out, figure something out, and be gone for 90 minutes so I can do this. And he was really supportive through it all, but it's like, you don't want to do that on your vacation either.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not what we got into.
Not a vacation then. Yeah.
No. The most amazing thing about the circuit is like, now I have like a system, and I have a dashboard, and I can look at numbers, and I can figure out, okay, what happened last week? What happened this week? What if I change this one number? And it's more of a scientific approach with data and math versus drama and a lot of emotions, where I might not be making smart decision moves. So that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, around when did you start your program? So like how much time, I guess, of experimenting and trying all these things was
so back to the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I had to really put the timeline on it, I was still working at the hospital full time. And I had this idea for an online course. I would say I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019. Okay. I started my online course, and it was all through email 4 times a year. So then I was just relying on extra income 4 times a year only. And it was like once a quarter. And then it wasn't until 2021 in October, I left my full-time job to do this full-time. And at that point, I had met my full-time salary at the hospital, so I felt comfortable doing it. But yeah, the end of 2018, early 2019 was the first time I had offered a paid program.
Yeah. So it's been
thinking of a lot of energy has gone into this for the past 4 years or however long that is.
And I was working constantly, you know, it's like, even while I was still working at the hospital, it's like after the hospital, the evenings, the weekends, I mean, we're not talking days off. So it wasn't like it was just a little bit here and there sprinkled. It was like hardcore grinding, trying to figure out what would work for that whole time. I mean, it seems so much longer in my mind. And in full transparency, I started Dementia Care Blazers in 2016, November, but just posting videos on YouTube, I never even knew what the word entrepreneur was. I didn't know about online courses. It was just to educate and answer questions I was seeing every day in my practice. That was it. And it wasn't until, I don't know, 2017, 2018, I started like, universe dropping things in my awareness of like, maybe I could do something else besides just free videos.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think your story is it's certainly similar to my story, similar to a lot of other entrepreneurs who are like, all right, what I have is amazing. This will change people's lives. In your case, it's in big ways, and, other people, big and small ways, but there is that like, right, but what is the actual way to sell it? There's so much of the stuff that, oh, you have to do it this way. You have to do tiny offers. You have to do a challenge. You have to do a paid challenge. No, free challenges are the thing.
Live webinars every week.
Every week. And we try these things and they don't, sometimes they convert, sometimes they don't convert, but there's no consistency. And how do you build a business if there's no consistency?
And it felt really complicated because even when I was following certain people who I love and I credit for like even getting me started in the right direction, it felt like they were constantly changing. So it was like, I just learned something from you about how to do this challenge, and now you're saying live webinars every week. Or I just learned from you to do live webinars every week, and now to sell a course, and now you're telling me to do a membership. And so I felt constantly like so challenged in terms of, well, do I shift? Like this mentor who's clearly more successful than me is doing all these things differently. Does that mean I need to do things differently? So I also felt like I never gave myself the traction to see success and how far it could grow, because I constantly felt like, well, now am I supposed to market this differently now? And it felt like starting over every time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So what was it that made you interested in the circuit sales system, and or what made you think, all right, this is something I want to try moving forward with?
Well, first of all, I truly value you and I love you. And like, I know you personally. So I've seen the success you've had in your business, but I know not everybody's going to know you personally and know how amazing you are when they're first coming into your world. But, you could just look and see what somebody is doing. And what I noticed about you is you never seem to have the outward pressure of like shifting with the market and, oh my gosh, we have to do this now. And this is the new hot thing. And okay, this is a new buzzword. And it was always just the same in terms of like, this is the business. People are coming in consistently. This is how we do it. And watching you and your business just seemed to have an air of ease. There's always difficulties and obstacles in every business. I'm not saying that, but just the way you were marketing it and setting it up, it just felt so clear, so simple. It was like one course to follow, and you had done it multiple times in multiple businesses and have proven it to be successful. So to me, I'm thinking, that sounds really lovely. Let's give it a try. You want to learn from somebody who's actually doing what they say works. And so that's also something about Nikki. It's like, she is literally doing what she's teaching. So I think that's pretty good, because there's many people out there telling you to do things, but then if you look at their business model, they're not actually doing it. They'll say evergreen works on a live webinar. Well, you're here live telling me evergreen works. I'm sorry, like there's a missing puzzle piece somewhere that I'm not following. So
yeah,
let's go learn from somebody who's actually doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
I'm curious, did you think about going evergreen in another word, yeah.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. So as I was doing live webinars, one of my mentors was saying something about doing evergreen. And I'm like, that sounds lovely. So of course I did an evergreen. And of course, like for most people, the conversions are not very great. And so then, it didn't take like, 3 weeks of seeing that made me go right back to live webinars. I turned off my evergreen. So it just didn't have the same performance, even though I had taken my best performing live webinar that did amazing for me, and I turned that into the evergreen. It just didn't work the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that's the thing about evergreen is it seems like, oh my gosh, okay, this is the solution. And yeah, to your point, well, it seems like it would make sense. Well, if I just take my best performing webinar and just automate that and it's what you're saying, or what you saw is what so many people say is the conversions just tank.
Right. It sounds lovely. It sounds like it has more ease, but that's where your circuit sale system was so genius, because it comes with that same ease, but this one actually works like it's live. So yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and so, and obviously share as much as you feel comfortable sharing. But what kinds of results have you seen since you turned your circuit on?
Okay. So first of all, since I have turned my circuit on, I have made a sale every single day. And not only that, I more than doubled the price of my program implementing the circuit, because one of the things the circuit really made me realize, just because it's so, if you just follow exactly what the circuit sales system tells you to do, then it makes you aware of everything you are doing and everything you do have to offer. It made me so clear and aware of the value of my program that I couldn't even believe what I was charging for it in the past, that I had a hard time selling. But it was almost impossible for me to continue selling it at that price after going through the circuit, getting clear on my messaging, seeing all the different things that my members would get. So I more than doubled the price when I implemented the circuit. And so now it's like selling as I sleep. It's selling on vacation. I'm not doing live anymore. It's literally changed my life, but more importantly, it's changing the lives of so many caregivers who are now finding me, who are now learning from me, and who are now sending me emails every single day that, oh my gosh, I am so grateful. I can't believe that this thing exists. Thank you so much. They're literally thanking me now. So I am not only making more money than I have ever made in my entire life, I am now making a bigger impact, which is the whole reason why I started this whole thing in the first place. So I'm just so grateful for it.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. Yes, you send me updates every once in a while. I think my favorite one that came through was like, I made 40 sales in the last 3 days.
Yes, I'm trying to think. My highest sales day, I want to say it was like 18 sales in a day. Yeah. I have not made less than 1 sale a day since turning it on, and so anywhere from 1 to 18 sales a day. I'm averaging 34 sales a week since I have turned it on.
Mm-hmm. That's fantastic. And then extrapolating out from that, this should be your first 7-figure year.
Yes, absolutely. I don't see any reason why it would not meet a 7-figure funnel based on tracking so far. So I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations.
That's
huge.
That's amazing. Yes. That's amazing. Yeah.
Last year, my highest grossing month was just barely $40,000 and doing all kinds of work. And now this past month, I made over $70,000 with, it feels like, less than half of the work that I did before. So
now, was there anything that surprised you in the program, or anything that was different than what you expected?
Everything. So how do I say this? So when I first joined the program, because I've joined other programs before, I think what I appreciated most about this one, it's very clear cut. You're not logging in and seeing a bunch of different things to do. You just go in order. There is one course, there is one system, there's one path to follow, and all you need to do is press play and order and follow along. And so that to me was wonderful, because I think for a lot of people, it's easy to get overwhelmed with like, oh, but there's this module and there's this thing and it's all in just one place. Just go in order. And for me, it was the level of depth. So every single module, you are teaching something and you're very clear, like, do this before you move on, which is exactly what I did. That's the other thing I would say. When I first started, the beginning is like the foundation, and you're getting really clear on what your customers want and, their words. But I've been at this for a while and I felt really comfortable with what my customers were saying. So like, I kind of skipped over it and I was like, let's go on to this next one. Right. And then I was like, no. Here's the thing that always gets me. It's like, people are joining a course to get these awesome results, and then they don't want to do what the course person said. It's like, okay, wait, what am I doing? No, go back. And so I did. I went back and I got on calls with people and I listened to what they were saying and I recorded them and I wrote down words, and I was really clear on a lot of it. Nothing was too surprising, but then there were some things that they said that I'm like, I don't think I've ever leaned into that. That's really great to know. So I think surprising for me was just, it was very detailed. You go very deep. And it was, quite honestly, for somebody who felt like they knew very well how to speak to a caregiver and how to really help them, I realized I can make so much more of an impact and make so much more progress if I just got more clear on messaging. That was one of the things that was in the beginning really hit me. And then, yeah, just it is work in the beginning. It is like, okay, this is something I really need to think about. This is something I really need to do. Like if anybody expects to just like take a course and then all of a sudden not do much and it's going to work perfectly, like they're probably going to be disappointed. But like you just go through the modules, and if you actually just do it, just do what you say, it's literally life-changing. So I think that was, for me, it was like, I had to keep talking to myself, like, do it. Don't move on. Like, you're just going to do this thing that she says. Otherwise, why did you join the program? So, and I didn't, there were parts of me that were like, oh, but maybe I just do this. I know it works. And I just constantly had to bring myself back to like, well, if I know it already works, like I don't already have those results. So clearly it doesn't work as well as I want it to work. So just do this new thing. And that was the best thing I could have done. Yeah.
I'm glad you did. Otherwise, I feel like it would have been like, I love your program, Nikki.
Yeah.
Best
And
of
the
luck.
cool thing, well, and then there's like the live calls that you can do. And so it's like the support is there. If there's no reason you can't be successful in this program, if you just, number one, do what the program says to do. And then if you really need feedback and support, it's there for you. There's a calendar, there's live classes, you can hop in. I got feedback from you. So yeah. And then, if, as you have certain more dialed in questions or want to tweak, you can go and get questions about that too. There's an active Facebook group, or other people who are going through the same thing can help give you, answers and responses. So yeah, it sounds so simple when I say it out loud. People are probably like, really, it's just that simple. But really, as I think about myself going through previous courses, and if I were really being honest, did I implement 100% as they said? Probably not. And so like that was a big difference in how I went through your program. But I think what I loved about your program so much is like, you're literally walking us through how to make the business on autopilot. So now what I love is I'm actually spending time on my business with big thinking ideas, new innovative ideas, so many creative things. And already that, like, I'm so excited. This past month, I have several big things, big projects I would love to implement for my community that I now literally have the time to do, because I'm not teaching live and I'm not like stressing out over, oh my, I need to do something else. What's the next hot thing? This thing isn't working. So it's the autopilot that's just life-changing for me.
Yeah.
This is going to be like the huge thing. Like this circuit sales system is just like, it's gonna, like, everybody needs it.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you.
I'm not sweet. I'm just saying, like, if you like money, you should get the circuit sales system.
And like having a life too while you get money.
Right.
Money in a life.
Enjoy life while you make money. It's a novel concept for a lot of entrepreneurs. Like sometimes I'm dealing with now anxiety of like, what do I do? There's always something to do, but I was so used to putting out fires and like, this has to be done today and this has to be done. Now I have the opportunity to think a little bit ahead, and I'm like, okay, that's the business thinking I haven't really practiced yet in terms of what's the priority next. What do I want to work on next? How do I want to train now I have a bigger team, like bringing people on. And so I'm learning how to be a business owner in a different way than just the doing. So yeah, all thanks to the circuit sales system.
Melanie, I think you're so right that as a business owner, we spend so much time in our businesses with our heads down in our businesses that we don't get a lot of time to step back and go, okay, what am I actually doing here? What direction am I going? On top of the fact that when we're so close to our business, it's hard to get perspective, like you were saying about messaging, is when you're used to saying the same thing again and again, it can be really, really hard unless someone gives you kind of the steps or the perspective to do that, to step back and go, okay, how am I talking to them? And I think especially for caregivers, and we actually do have a decent number of caregivers in our student group, that there's a difference between teaching them how to care for others or care for themselves, and talking to them in that way, and then also talking to them in a way that helps them understand why this is the best solution, why this is the solution that they should purchase. And it can be very hard to balance those two elements, especially if you don't understand that those are two different ways of talking to people, and maybe not even two different ways of talking to people, but just two different perspectives to come from. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you really made us think and dive deeper into, but what do they really want? But like, what's underneath that? But under that, and that was actually really difficult for me to really pin down. So yeah, it made me think in ways I hadn't really thought of before. And it was worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This might sound a little sadistic, but I'm going to say it anyway. I like it to actually, when I see it, or it makes me, I get excited when I see people like post in the Facebook group or say on the coaching call, like, ooh, I'm finding this really hard to do X, Y, Z, because I know that it's making them think a little bit harder about something. And there's a breakthrough on the other side of that. When people go,
Yes.
I can't, I don't know. And everybody, it happens to everybody. There's some point where they go, oh, and they stick with it. They push through, they do some extra thinking, maybe deeper thinking or thinking into a different direction. And what comes out on the other side is messaging that is so much more resonant with what their target audience wants and needs to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. I also feel like a little bit of that struggle shows they're actually trying to implement versus just going through and checking the box like, oh, I already know that. So
yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I can't wait to see, first of all, yes, of course, I can't wait to see what number you hit at the end of the year. Cause quite frankly,
I will definitely let you know.
Like, yeah,
I think you're going to do, yes, I think you're going to do even a little bit better than you think you are. But I'm also so excited to hear how many students you end up working with this year and how many lives you change. And also the additional I can't wait to hear about the additional programs you're putting together for your students.
Yes. Yeah. And I'm excited, just if I could say something really quick. So it's like, I did this to change caregivers' lives, and my program is certainly doing that. But now that I have more time to think about it, what I'm currently implementing is a way for my current care course members to actually make money while they're caregiving. And so that is something I never had time to implement or put together. And now that the circuit is going and it's running and it's doing well, I now get to put this program together where my own care course members are going to make money. And that just like really warms. I'm just so excited about it. I can't even believe it. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah,
oh, excellent. I know we haven't had a chance to dig into that conversation yet. Very excited.
That's very new on my end. So there'll be more to be revealed in the near future, but that's just super amazing.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, like I said, we will put your information in the show notes, but if someone is interested in learning more about you, interested in learning more about the care course, where should they find you?
They could go to www.careblazers.com or simply search Careblazers in Google and I will pop right up.
And I have to ask before we go, do you have vacations now planned for this year?
Oh my gosh.
That you can.
I'm a little embarrassed to admit I have quite a few.
Yes. No, that's
last
incredible.
week I was in Florida all week. And I'll be in Palm Springs next week. In a couple of weeks, we're going to Costa Rica for my husband's. Well, it was supposed to be for his 40th birthday, but it got postponed, with everything happening the last couple of years. So we'll be in Costa Rica for a week here in April. And then I'm even embarrassed. I do have other ones planned. It's almost embarrassing to say, but yeah, I'll be in St. Thomas in December. I'll see Nikki in August. So it's just like, I can't even believe my business is still running and I am not in front of my computer all the time. And I'm making an even bigger impact and my members are loving it. And if I have any problem right now, it's literally just keeping up with the growth, and which is a nice new problem to have.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
so I'm just so thankful for the circuit cell system and for Nikki teaching it and just everything. So thank you.
Oh my goodness. Well, we are so grateful to have you as a member of the community, and also just as the daughter of someone with dementia, also grateful that you are putting this information out in the world because it's so necessary. And of course, also grateful to have you as a friend and have you on the podcast today. We really appreciate chatting with you.
For sure. Excited
to see.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure, entirely. And with that, we will catch all of you in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Do you want to learn how to sell and scale your offer on autopilot every single day without the chaos of live launching or the low conversions of evergreen? Who doesn't, right? Get our free on-demand video training at circuitsalessystem.com/free. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to make sure you never miss a video. We'll catch you next time.